How you going, everyone? Hybrid here today, going to be doing a tier list. If you're not sure what your champion's tier is going to be, or you want to know which champions are strong, then this is the perfect video for you. Importantly, if you haven't looked at the new season changes, I've got a video out on that. It's a very detailed breakdown, so give it a watch. But jumping straight into it, I'll just kind of give my the breakdown of my criteria on how this season changes from last season. The main changes would be early game. I think is a lot more important because of the new feats of strength. I think tanks are nerfed a lot in terms of items, right? So those are probably going to be a tier lower each. Ability to take over in skirmishes is important because grubs are much more OP given the given how the game works in the new changes. So I think if you can take over in skirmishes early, like a Wukong at level 6, that puts you very high. Ability to tempo. So what I mean by this is if you're ganking early, the ability to still how you say it, like still be able to recreate a tempo. So like if you're a Diana, you can gank and then still come back and have a quick clear. That makes you strong. That's very useful for this season. And the fifth thing is just the item and rune changes. But jumping straight into it, so Amumu. I think Amumu is still this A tier because he has his gank potential. He's very good at skirmishing, so I still really like him. I wouldn't put him S tier just because I think there are some champions that can just kite him out. His pre level 3, he's not the strongest. I think it's hard for him to gank before that. If he does gank, he gets punished hard, right? Because he's not that good at skirmishing pre-level 3. So I think he's definitely middle to top A tier, but I wouldn't put him above that. I think Brand is just going to be back of A tier. Brand is not going to be a strong champion. His scalings were completely nerfed towards the end of last season, right? I don't think he's that good of a skirmisher. Sure, he's good at keeping tempo, but I think he's still going to be weak, especially with the new kind of meta shifting to bruises and stuff like that. I think he's definitely going to be taking a bullet. Bel'Veth, I would put this on S tier. You guys are going to say, oh, you're biased. But I think Bel'Veth right now is in a very healthy spot. He's a good ganker, so you can cheese gank level 3, right? So if you guys don't know, I'll just explain really quickly. Feats of Strength means that First Blood is OP, First Tower is OP, and First 3 Objectives is OP. So if we think about Bel'Veth, we know that Bel'Veth can do the free camp gank into bot lane, which is OP for cheese ganking, right? Also, Bel'Veth is a very good skirmisher, pre-6, because he doesn't use his ult as much as other people, right? In terms of team fighting. And also, he's great at diving, which means taking first turret is easier on Bel'Veth. That's why I think he's S tier. I think that's a very good reasoning. His items didn't get touched at all. You can even take domination with him now. I think it's just a very good champion. Briar, I'm gonna put C tier. Like she's honestly probably like A if you can play it, but nobody can play as champion. And if you're against any sort of good player, I think they beat you. Because I think the champion's so easy to play against. Your only hope is cheesing early, which I guess actually should put you in B, but I really don't like this champion. So I think, personally, I'll put C tier, but because cheesing is so much stronger now because of the first blood changes, I can understand if you want to put in B. Diana, I would put B. Actually, I think I'll put Brand B and Diana B as well. I would put Diana in front of Brand. I think Brand just cannot gank enough for him to be useful. But Diana, I think he doesn't have the best ganks. He's got good tempo. But that's about it. Like, I don't think he's good at team fighting. I think he's got a strong-ish team fight from level 6 to level 11. But after that, she kind of falls off. And before that, she's not really that useful. So I'm going to put her here. I think for you to be a good jungler this game, in this meta, you have to be able to gank. Which is why I'm going to put Mundo at A tier. So if you guys know how I feel about Mundo, I've always thought he's strong, right? But how you say it? The Heartsteel changes aren't the best for him. I think the Heartsteel changes were good for most champions, but for Mundo, it wasn't the best. Unending Despair is kind of actually a good change from Mundo because it's a better scaling item now, but the stats are still not as good as it was. You know, like it still got nerfed. I think Warmog's nerf is going to hit Mundo the biggest though, which is why I think he's going to be middle at best, A tier, maybe even lower. Ekko, honestly, Ekko is just here. Like, not a good champion. You have good ganks, but your clearing is way too slow, in my opinion. Your team fighting is pretty, if I'm being honest, jungle Ekko is not that good at team fighting. I think they're just better champions that does what Ekko does, so there's no point. Elise, I think Elise will be, up here. Actually, I'll put it behind Bel'Veth. I think Elise is back of S tier for sure. Very good ganks, very good skirmishing. The ability to keep tempo is not the best, which is why I put it lower. But otherwise, I think Elise is very good. The new rune changes as well help her a little bit, the domination ones. So I think the vision ones are going to be ones you take on her, because you can kind of, you're a champion that plays around vision a lot, right? So you're going to be playing the one which is like the Umbrella Glaive thing, where it sweeps, it sweeps the outskirts. Evelyn, Raw Image is going to give me crap for this, but I think Evelyn is... I'm trying to think. I really think Evelyn is not that strong. I think I'm going to kind of explain this, because I do rate Evelyn low most times, most videos, most to this, right? But I'm going to explain why it's ultra bad this season. So I've been playing on this patch a lot. If you guys know, because I play pro, we play on the patch before, because that's when we play the patch, right? So when I'm playing these games, when I'm playing these scrim blocks, or I'm watching these scrim blocks, I've noticed that every time there's a grub fight, it's always 4v4 on grubs, 4v4 on grubs, 5v5 on grubs. And I've played in-houses, and they're the exact same thing. So in-houses are more assimilated to society, because nobody really knows each other. So I kind of feel like when it's a 5v5, Evelyn is never that useful, in my opinion, because Evelyn kind of strives on people that are not kind of aware of where she is. When it's a 5v5, you know where she is. When it's a 4v4, you know where she is. Also, the other thing is, vision has become a lot stronger this season. So you've got that element as well. Not to mention that I think jungle tracking is something like that's going to be very key in the new patch. I think it's something that all junglers going to have to develop skill-wise. And I think that's very bad for Evelyn, right? So for those reasons, I think I can comfortably put her on C tier. And I know it might be crazy to put her below some of these champions. You might think I'm crazy. But I think for those reasons, from what I've played, I really, really think she's not going to be that strong. If you disagree, you can let me know in the comments, and we can talk about it. But, I think that's how I see it, really. Phil6, I think Phil6 is always going to be strong. I'll put him here. I think Phil6, there's so many inflated OTPs, right? He's good ganking, good skirmishing. He can clear quick. I don't really see the weakness of him. The only reason I'm not putting him S tier is I feel like sometimes on Phil6 you require setup, and your team's not always going to give you that. But if you look at S tiers, Elise and Bel'Veth, you don't really need champions that work with you. Sure, on Bel'Veth it's nice to have them. On Elise it's nice to have them. Like, it's nice to have a diving champion right with you. You don't need it. On Phil6 you need it. You need people that can set up. You need people that can clear vision. You need some frontline that can go in. You don't need that for the other two champs. That's why I think S tier is for me, by the way, rating these, S tier is completely blindable. A tier is not. Master Yi, this is a hard one. Depends on, are you talking about low elo or high elo? Low elo, this will be it. This will be it. High elo, I think it'll be here. But I think it's more apt to put it here. I think he's not the worst ganker. The main strength I would say is his skirmishing power, right? He's definitely got decent skirmishing power, but I really think, I'll put him B tier. I think there are better gankers out there. Scaling doesn't matter as much, so I don't think he's as strong. I think when there's team fights, Master Yi isn't as good. So given that this season, by the way, this season is going to be all team fighting. There's going to be a billion team fights. Given that this season is all team fighting, I think he's going to be less strong. Kind of similar argument to Evelyn, but I think he's better than Evelyn because he's got more enhanced early game. That's the only reason. Also, he can carry harder later. Like, Evelyn's more of a... It isn't really a carry champion. It's more of a, assassin. Assassins aren't really carries unless you're like Zed. Like, Evelyn doesn't have the mobility Master Yi has, Gragas. You guys are going to think I'm crazy here. You guys are going to think I'm insane. But I think he's A tier, sorry. Reason is good skirmishing. He can stay healthy, so he can exit skirmishes with low HP, come back in as healthy. He can cheese gank a lot. His clear is not that bad this season. And he kind of benefits with the new sorcery rune, which is the ult CDR reduction one. I think his ult is one of the most broken spells in the game. So being able to use that is definitely like monster. Graves, listen, this could be the most inaccurate tierless assignment here, because I'm not too sure how much the nerfs they gave to him at the end of the season actually mattered, because I have that champion permabanned. I looked at it, I feel like the nerfs are big, right? And he was S tier before. I think he's still going to be A tier because, again, early game is king, right? he's strong in the early game. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like he does, I know he got nerfed and whatever. He's still strong in the early game, and he can use that to, like, you know. I will say though, I think the AP champions are I know I've got all AP champions out here right now. Like a lot of AP champions out here right now. I think AP champions are not going to be what's strong. So Graves is also good to, like, if you think about Viego, these sort of champions which do AD, Graves is good against, right? Because of his passive. So I think that's also a good reason to put him in A tier. He could be higher here, honestly, if the nerfs aren't a big thing. But from people I've spoken to who say Graves is like, oh, it's ruined, I'm going to put him here. But as someone that doesn't play Graves, it's a bit hard. It's one of the only champions I don't play in League. I play pretty much every single champion on this list outside Graves, right? So it's a hard one. Tough cookie for me. This one, you guys are going to say, oh, you're crazy. You just talked about skirmishing. Yeah, so you just talked about ganking. Gwen can't gank. Correct. Gwen can't gank, but what Gwen can do is secure every single objective. Nobody can fight her on objectives when she's first on the objective, because she's so good when people are coming into her. Her ult is completely broken. She's never been weak, in my opinion. People are crying. I think she's easily middle of the pack A tier. I know it kind of goes against everything we've said. Maybe it's a bit of bias, but I think Gwen is very, very strong. I think you can even take the sorcery rune on her instead of the inspiration secondary, which is going to help even more, right? Because I think your ult CD was a huge issue. But I think she's just way stronger skirmisher than people give her credit for. And I think she can take objectives quick. She can farm quick. I think instead of having good gank potential, what Gwen gives you is she clears so quickly that she has time to make unusual ganks happen. So what do I mean by unusual ganks? Like, for example, she can, if we just open Rift Kit here, right? Like, Gwen is so quick on clearing that she could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, E over the wall, run all the way here, get this gank while this jungler is still here on the 5th camp, because Gwen is so much faster. So Gwen's gonna have like maybe 20 seconds of tempo on this guy always, so you can look for unusual ganks. So even if you don't have the best ganking, oh, voice crack. Even if you don't have the best ganking ability, your ability to get a lead in tempo allows you to go for these. So I think your gank, your poor gank setup ability is kind of a supplement, what do you call it, counteracted by this, right? Also, I think when you're playing grubs, Gwen takes them so quickly, and also Gwen is very good when people are coming into her. So when you're playing Gwen, you should always be first on the objective, agree? Because you're faster clear, and so you should have faster reset, you should be up on tempo. So when you're first on objective and people are forced to come into you, that's not a good sign, is it? Your ult, just your Q, everything is just good when people come into you. So I think for that reason, even though it goes against everything we've talked about so far in the video, I think it's fair enough. Hecarim, back of B tier champion, is terrible. Okay, I'm kidding. Probably here. Don't think he's good at ganking. Skirmishing, very whatever. When it's team fights, he's very bad, in my opinion, before he's level 6. So grub fights, whatever, they're going to be worse. I just think they're a better champion that does what he does. I think Gwen is just a better champion. Amumu is just a better champion. Bel'Veth is just a better champion. Ivern, definitely S tier. Just no really good champions into Ivern, in my opinion. Nunu is good, but that's really about it. Bel'Veth is fine. But Ivern, good, strong ganking. His skirmishing is annoying as hell to deal with. If you play slow, you win all skirmishes. He's active in the early game. He can clear quickly because he doesn't even have to be there. He has a lot of time on the map, so you can secure all the feats of strength things. You can sack your own camps to dive. I think he's just a perfect fit for this meta. I would even put him above Elise, actually. Jarvan, you guys are going to say, you're crazy. Jarvan in S tier, is this 2022? Yes, it is. Okay, early ganking is OP, Jarvan is OP. I would say the reason I'm putting him a bit behind on S tier is because I feel like Jarvan loses a lot of HP on his clear. So if you're good at clearing, then sure, I think he can be a bit higher. But as I said, there's a few separating these S tier champions from each other. There's going to be 2 very, very strong champions in the second that we'll talk, 3 very strong champions in the second that we'll talk about, that are kind of separate from the pack, and maybe we add a Z tier for them. But in terms of S tier, there's 3 that separate each other. I think for Jax, I'm gonna add a row below called conditional. I'm gonna call this conditional. Okay, So Jax is very good into certain champions. Bel'Veth, Graves, Viego, Wukong. These are champions Jax is very good into. But he's not a good jungler, per se. He's only good against these champions. So, not like if he was to not, if he were to not play, he'd be here, right? C tier. But I think conditionally he could be very good. He could be A tier or S tier. If you pick him, A tier, not S tier. He could be A tier into certain champions. So, if you're picking into it, this could be a good pick. Karthus, I'm gonna put him here. I think he's a strong early skirmisher. He clears quick. The same thing with Gwen, right? You can kind of use that tempo to your advantage to look for unusual ganks. I think when it's very hard to skirmish against a Karthus, personally, in my opinion, because of his passive. So I think he kind of gives everything you want. Also, the new sorcery change on the ult CD reduction one and the ult buff one, I think is so OP for Karthus that I think you have to pick it in a lot of games. I would put him like here. I'll put him here. Like, I think he's super, super strong. Super duper strong. Kayn. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen Kayn 3 times on the new patch. That's it. But from all 3 games, your boy kind of got cooked. No, I didn't get cooked, but I could tell, like, when I was playing better than him, the game state wasn't, like, I wasn't winning fights as hard as I should have, in my opinion. And also, I found it very difficult to play against because what a lot of people did was they went, for example, one camp on Raptors into here. And I was like, come on, man. Don't do me like that. So you kind of have those cheese ganks on Kayn that I think like are an issue. I think Kayn is a good champion. I think Kayn has never been weak, but this is red Kayn. Blue Kayn is actually OP as well, by the way, but I think I've only seen red Kayn because I'm playing scrims, right? Kha'Zix. I don't know how I feel about Kha'Zix. I think Kha'Zix is, I mean, you could put him A tier, you could put him B tier. I think you put him A tier just because of his early skirmishing. I think you can put him around here. I think he's a good early skirmisher. Definitely going to be an issue in team fights. Like, I think the team fights for sure dampen him a bit, so maybe I move him here. Because I think Assassins is just harder to play when teams are grouped up. But I think in lower elos, this could be, teams trying to group up could be a good thing for you, right? Because you can kind of catch them coming in. Because what I notice is in low elo, when people are grouping, they're not really walking together. They're like walking from 4 different angles to a central point. So if you can just catch one coming in from the side, I think it is perfect. Okay, here comes one of my most controversial, how you say it? Controversial designations. I think Kindred is Z tier. You guys are gonna say, why, Hybrid? Why would you do us like that? Let me explain. Kindred, completely broken level 1 to 3. Agree? Level 2 and level 3. Agree? You can cheese gank very easily. All of you guys know about the infamous hybrid cheese gank that did not go too well. I think he's a strong skirmisher at all stages of the game. His ult is completely broken, right? And he's very active in the early game, which means feats of strength should be no issue. Outside of that, Kindred is good at clearing after first base. Kindred is very quick on the map. I think she kind of has everything you need. And also, I'm going to tell you, there is a possibility you can bring the domination ward runes on Kindred as well. But I would take treasure, but I would prefer not to, because I think you want to kind of take your runes for strong early skirmishing so you can fight like a dummy, like fight like a caveman, perma. I think that's why. Okay? I think she's very strong. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. But in my opinion, she is one of the 3 or 4 champions that's going to be Z tier. Elise, oh my god, what is going on with my tier list? You appear adored. Okay, there we go. Elise, I think very underrated champion. I think he's going to be stronger here for sure. I'm not sure how much stronger he's going to be. Like, probably going to be below Graves, right? But I think he's back of A tier, top of B tier. If you can play him, I think he's going to be a menace. I just think his early, like, the emphasis on early skirmishing is going to be an issue. I mean, actually, I'll move him up. Like, I saw him in scrims. He really wasn't that weak. Like, you could even put him S tier. But I think, personally, this champion is going to be one of the most overlooked champions in this patch. People always think Lee Sin's weak, but I think now they may have tuned him up a bit too high with this patch. So we're probably going to see some nerfs. But yeah. Okay, Lillia, I hate to break it to you guys, it's B tier. She's not that good of a champion. She's clear slower than all the good AP champions, and her skirmishing is a bit weak until level 6. So, and you also require a lot of team cohesion for this champion to work in the new patch. So I don't really like it. I hate to break it to you guys, but it is what it is. Maokai, conditional. The only reason I'm putting in conditional is because I think Maokai is very good for pro play, but not solo queue. And I think, but in solo queue, it could work if you have like a Samira bot lane or a Draven bot lane. It could be very good. And if you're playing against like a Sejuani or something like that, which doesn't really punish you in terms of taking your camps. But outside of that, I don't really like it. But, one good thing about Maokai is actually that you can triple flex it. So, I don't know if you guys keep track of other roles tier lists, but Maokai is very, very strong in top lane right now and very good on support as well. So if you pick it quickly, it kind of throws enemy draft into a bit of a frenzy. It confuses them. So I think you have that element for Maokai you could use to your advantage. But as I said, if you're playing against, like, if you pick Maokai and people pick, like, friggin' Karthus, I'll be real with you. Just give that -20 and move on. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, that game is not going to end well for you. But I think if you have a good right team comp, he could be S tier, for sure. Mordekaiser, I'm not going to lie, this champ is complete trash. But it's good situation. Yeah, I'm just going to put a D tier, actually. It's good, like, into Udyr. So if you see Udyr, yeah, sure. If you don't see Udyr, get out. Don't pick the champion. Morgana, I think, underrated. I think I will put him... probably right here. I think he's decent in terms of clearing, giving decent ganks. He's got, believe it or not, he's got better ganks than most AP junglers. But I think they're not guaranteed ganks, and I think it depends on your skill level and depends on, like, if you're having a good day, kind of, you know what I mean? So I think I wouldn't put her that high. I think she's not as good as she used to be. I put her A tier last season, I remember, because I think last season was a lot more about setting up, so poking matches a lot more. This season, it's all about fighting, skirmishing. So I don't really think she's that good. Nidalee, I think here it's very apt, right? Like, good early skirmisher, very active in the early game, good at clearing camps. Just a good champion. Just a very good champion. The only reason I'm not putting her higher is because of the fact that she falls off later on. And I think Elise is a bit better version of Nidalee. But if you play Nidalee, if you're a good Nidalee player, Nidalee could be better than Elise as well. I also think AP items are not the strongest this patch. So there's that element to it as well. I think, as I said, Bruiser items are going to be the strongest. AP items are going to be the second strongest. Here, Nocturne, honestly, guys, he was S tier entire last season. It's just going to be lower now. He just has to be lower. Like, your inability to do anything pre-level 6 is just going to hurt you. It's going to come back and haunt you here. I think he's just a worse version of Gwen in terms of early game, right? And late game, he doesn't really offer as much. Like, the levels, when you hit level 6, there's no objective to fight for anyway. And the first blood is already gone. So I think you're spiking on the wrong time right here. I think later on you could be annoying if the enemy has like a Jinx or something. But I really don't think you're a good champion at all. Like, I think you're back of A tier at best. Yeah, it's just not a good champ right now with these changes. It's just a champion that kind of got cooked by the changes. Nunu, come on now. Top of S tier. Champion is completely broken. When you talk about cheese ganking, you talk about Nunu. When you talk about skirmishing, you talk about Nunu. When you talk about objective taking, clearing speed, you're always talking about Nunu. Only reason he's not S tier, tank item nerfs. He can't carry games like you can with the Z tier champions. So yeah. Nico, actually, gonna put him A tier above Gwen. I think Nico jungle is very, very decent. You got good ganking ability because you can kind of turn invis, and you got good diving potential, which means you can get first turret easily. Your skirmishing is out of this world, and your clear speed is very high as well. Only thing I don't like is about Nico is that you could be invaded, right? So if you're worried about getting invaded, this could be an issue, but otherwise he's good. Olaf, just put that guy on D tier and move on. Just completely outdated champion kit. You have good skirmishing early, true, but once enemy group says 4 on grubs, yeah, you good luck playing Olaf with no ult into it, man. Poppy, think Poppy can easily be here. I think Poppy is decent into, like, if you look up on these champions, he's decent to a lot of champions. But Poppy is also very situational. So it's kind of your choice. A little bit. You know? It's like, if you're playing against a champion that you're good into, sure, it's good. Actually, I'm going to move Nocturne down one. I've got way too many I'm going to move these two down one. I have way too many champions in A tier. I think Nocturne... I think Poppy is good into certain champions, but terrible into others. So, for example, he's very good into Bel'Veth and stuff like that. Kindred, Bel'Veth, Graves, Elise, and these sort of champions. But if they don't have dashes, he's a lot weaker, right? Because he just doesn't have that use. So I would put him conditional, actually. But I'll just put him here. Yeah, I'll just put him conditional, actually. Conditional is better. Qiyana, D tier. People are saying she's strong. She's not. Trust me, she's not. You're taking way too long to be useful. And when you are level 6, there are better champions than you. You guys can... Some people can... Like, the Qiyana players really disagree with this, but it's fine. Like, this is my opinion, right? Like, I think Qiyana's not that good. I think, similar to Nocturne, you get 6 after the fight's already there. And I just don't really like that. Also, I think his clear speed is not that good. And he's not that good at Drakes. Like, he can't take objectives quick. And his ganking potential is also not the best. So that is the reason. Rammus. Let me take a sip of water first. This is a long video, isn't it? Rammus. We will put this guy in. He's got good early. Yeah. I think we can put him here. I mean, he's still very conditional, because if you have like someone that can, like, if you have playing against an AP champion, you're just not good, right? Like, let's maybe move the conditionals in order, actually. Like, all 4 of these champions could be S tier if you play against the right matchup, other than Jax. Jax is A tier, but it's really dependent on the matchup, I think. Rek'Sai, I'm gonna put him right here. I think Rek'Sai is gonna be stronger in this season. Oh, by the way, just one more thing on Rammus. I think he's going to be decent in a lot of times, because this meta is AD dominated, in my opinion. Outside of the Zyras, the Karthuses, the Elises, it's going to be mainly AD dominated. So I think Rammus is good into that, right? But if the enemy picks an AP, you can't blind it. If enemy picks an AP champion, you're cooked. But what was I talking about? Oh, Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai completely broken. Rek'Sai makes use of the strong bruiser items. Rek'Sai has very good ganking potential. Very, very good, right? He's good at cheesing. He's good at clearing. He's good around objectives. Very, very good skirmisher. I think he's everything you want in the jungler right now, in this season. So I'm putting him... He could easily be Z tier. Only reason I'm not putting him Z tier is because his skill... how do you say it? His skill requirement is higher than most champions, so I don't really like that. But outside that, he's for sure up there, mate. For sure, for sure. Rengar, just go ahead and put this on C tier. I think this champion is completely terrible. People can say that the ult buffs towards the end of the season helped him. It didn't, in my opinion. I think his weakness is just he can't burst people like he used to pre-level 6. Just don't like him as a champ. Don't think there's much he can offer that other people can't. Like, I think if you're picking the assassins, like, you're better off just picking bruisers, because they can do this. They can do the assassin job better than the assassins a lot of times, you know. Rumble D tier, just not good. He's good skirmishing, but there are better champions to do it. He falls off very hard. You require team comp to play around you, and also you're very prone to getting invaded. Every time you see Rumble, just invade him, and he's gonna be cooked. It's like very simple, you know. Think he's not the best skirmisher as a jungler, because you're gonna have to be first in the fight as a jungler, and he doesn't have the firepower to do that, and he's not tank enough to do that either. If he gets focused down, he's just gone. I don't really like him. Sejuani, A tier. I think you can cheese gank a bit. You're strong early. You have good setup, but if you have the wrong comp, you're gonna lose. But if you have the right comp, you're gonna win. You could be S tier of the right comp, F tier of the wrong comp. All depending on what you play with it. It's a bit conditional, but I think Sejuani is a lot more consistent than the other conditional champions. Like, you can pick Sejuani always, and he'll be useful, you know. Shaco, let's just go ahead and put this champion in Z tier. Completely broken champion. Right, please nerf this stuff. I'm permabanning it right now. You can cheese gank. You can clear with your stupid boxes. You can do everything you want on this broken champion. He even scales so well now. Like, I can't be bothered with this champion. I'm going to put him there. Shyvana C tier, not a good skirmisher. Good at taking objectives. That's the best part about her kit for this season. Good at farming as well. But I think if you want to pick these champions, you can just go ahead and pick Diana. Like, it's probably a better pick. Better skirmishing, you know. You're getting kited out too easy on Shyvana. And you spike hard on your 6. And even then, other champions spike harder than you on your 6. Silas is... I don't know. I don't want to rate this champion, by the way, because it could be like A tier, like back of A tier, if you get a cheese gank. But if you cheese fails, then you're not a good champ. So I think it's fair enough to put you C tier. But if you get a good cheese early, you're S tier, my boy. Otherwise, you're C tier. It's like AP Briar, pretty much in my eyes. Okay, this brings us to our third Z tier champion. The Yarner, bro. The Yarner. He is still OP, guys. What is going on? I would put... this is the order. This is how I'd order it, by the way. 1 sec. I think... Skarner is just, like... You're good at skirmishing. You have insane ganking because you can come from weird angles with your E. You are good at diving. You're good at everything. You need to... Like you're good at clearing. You scale like a monster. The Heartsteel change is actually good for you. I think the Spirit kind of sucks. That's the only thing that kind of sucks for him. Otherwise, he'd be higher than Shaco. He'd be the most broken champion in the game still. But he's just broken, man. Like, there's not much more to say. Like, you guys know. You guys don't need me to tell you how strong he is. Talia. This is a weird one. I think it's a very skill cap champion. If you're good on it, it's good. Otherwise, it's whatever. I think it's fair to put it right in the same kind of I think it's fair to put it around maybe here. I think it's better than Lillia, but not that much better than Lillia, you know. But I think she's strong. She's good at skirmishing. You can have good early ganks, but I don't like champions that are going to be prone to invades this patch because I think invades are going to be super annoying. But yeah, that's kind of about it for that champion. Talon, I think, is going to be S tier. I think he has been for the last while. I think the ability, like, there's a pathing that's very good on a talent that I can kind of let you guys know so you can avoid getting cheese by it. Is you do this. You do 1, you do 2, you do 3, and then you come down and gank bot. Or you can do 1, 2, 3, and then cheese gank top and get easy first blood. And you can go base and insta come out here and they've taken 1 camp and you still can farm your 2 camps and go harass them on these camps or go look bot lane. Like, I think this pathing is very good on Talon, if you guys want to play it. So, I think he's easily there. I think he's better scaling than Elise, so I'll put him higher. I think he's just a good champion. Teemo, D tier. Champion's trash now. Trundle, back of D tier, worst champion in the game. Low mobility, gonna get kited out in every single fight by any human. Only good in, like, Iron. Udyr, I think you can put him A tier. I think he's not that bad of a champion. Definitely hard in skirmishes when there are more people there, right? Because you can't play as reckless. On Udyr, you want to be able to play reckless in people's face and hope you don't get one shot. The inability to do that is a bit annoying. But yeah, it's fine. Viego, this is the other Z tier champion that we were talking about. There's one more coming up. I think very strong. In all facets of the game, you're a good skirmish. This is like Persian says, but I'm OTPing this stuff in scrims, right? I'm playing it every scrim block, at least one game of Viego. I'm a monster on this champion, and I don't think I'm that good of a Viego. But when I play it, I think I'm faker, you know? I think I'm Canyon, bro. So I think, oh my god, dude, I've been leaning right as the video's going on. So I think he's just very strong. I think he makes use of the good bruiser items. His skirmishing power is out of this world. He's good scaling. Always have a win con with him. Don't see how he can be weak. He's actually above here. Only thing I don't like about Viego is you've got 2 really bad matchups that are good champions. First one, Kindred. Second one, Bel'Veth. Third one, even Shaco, right? Shaco can be better than you. So I think these three matchups could be a bit annoying. There's actually a 4th one coming up, but we're not going to reveal it until we get to it, okay? Vi. I think Vi is a good champ. Yeah, I can put him A tier. I think I'm comfortable putting Vi on A tier. I think he has good gank setup. He's always going to have an ult button that's going to be useful. He's good at skirmishing. Just the only thing I'd probably dislike a bit about Vi is you're a bit team reliant in a sense, right? But I think on Vi, if you're first at somewhere and someone has to walk into you, you can always get good angles. Even if you're late on the objective, you can punish it. So I really, really like it. Volibear, I think it's... Actually, I put Vi S tier as well. I think Vi and Volibear both S tier. Volibear, the thought process is kind of... You're the best early game champion in the game. In early dominant meta. But I don't really like the Unleashing Despair nerf for Volibear. By the way, Jarvan is worse than these champions. I don't know why Jarvan's so high. Jarvan is here. Yeah, so your item build isn't as good as it used to be. But don't worry, I have a Volibear video coming out. I think Volibear is for sure S tier. I don't know where I'm going to put him on S tier. I think if you're a Voli main, you could put him like... He's kind of like a skill-dependent champion, you know? How well you dominate. So if you're good at dominating snowballing games, then he could be top of S tier. But otherwise, I think back of S tier is completely fair. Warwick, I think it's B tier or top of B tier, I would say. I think he's a good skirmisher. He has that going for him, but there are some kit elements to his game that are not good. For example, in team fighting, I don't think he's great. Number one, your ult can get cancelled. Number two, you can get one shot pretty easily. Don't really like that element of it. I think his clear speed is too slow for him to be that a strong champion. He's good at objective taking, but that's about it. I think his skirmishing is fine if it's low number skirmishing, like a 2v2. He's very OP. But if it's a 4v4 or 5v5, or even the 3v3, I think that's when you see him struggle. And this meta is all about that, right? So put him there. Xin Zhao, I'm gonna put him top of A tier. I think Phoveus should be higher than these two champions. Xin Zhao is just good champion, always a solid champion. Good team fighting, good skirmishing, good ganks. Clear speed is a bit slow than you'd like, and also taking objectives a bit slow. Struggles to stay on tempo a little bit. That's like his only weakness. Outside of that, he's fascinating champion. Very, very good. Zac, definitely back of S tier. Just a broken champion, to be honest. Like it's just broken. Very, very good champ. Not much more to say. He's good CC, good skirmishing. Struggles a lot in the early game, but I think what he offers after he hits level 4 is worth struggling in the first 3 levels. But if you want to play against Zac, you just need to invade him, and it's good for you. Zed. I think Zed is kind of like Morgana. Like, you have very good tempo. Your ganks are terrible. Your skirmishing is terrible as a jungler. You're just... I mean, I'll put him in even in C tier now I think about it. Like, you just have good tempo is the only thing on Zed. Outside of that, you don't really have much to offer, in my opinion. This is going to be a bit controversial, but I've talked to a lot of people that play it, and they agree. I think this champion is easily S tier. For one simple reason. This game, like, remember the thing we talked about on Gwen, where you clear quickly so you can punish? Nobody does that better than Zyra. You can go look for this at 255. You can look for a bot dive at 255, which is when the new cannon waves are coming in. So the cannon waves, if you guys don't know, I talk about it in my video. It's a very, very big, massive change. The 4th wave in my patch rundown, you guys have to watch that patch rundown, by the way. There's a lot of useful information there that I talk about. I don't think you'll find it anywhere else. Like, I mean, I know you won't. It's because there's not really anyone that really talks about that stuff. But to dive on the 4th wave, right, it's around this timer, right? Actually, wait. When does 4th wave spawn, right? League of Legends. So okay. So main spot saying at 105. So the 4th wave is it's 235. It spawns, right? And it gets to here at around 255. Well, you have to be at 255, right? You can do that on Zyra. So you can play this dive on the cannon wave. Exactly, with a full clear. What champion can dive on the cannon wave on a full clear? No champion this patch, because the cannon wave is 225, right? Because this patch, if you guys don't know, cannon spawns on the 3rd wave, right? On the 3rd wave. Next patch, next season, will be the 4th wave. So the ability to do this is completely game breaking. Like, he could be Z tier if you could use it well. Also, Zyra is very good at objective setups. His tempo is you're never going to drop tempo. You can take both objectives because you take them so quick. So you can abuse feats of strength. every time you finish your full clear, you have like a minute to play on the map. You can take first turret easily. I think he's completely broken. Only thing with Zyra I don't like is you need people to walk into you, and also you could be, if people mess with you, like cheese you, it throws the game into a bit of a weird state. Outside of that, mama, there goes that man. Okay, now you guys are ready for it? The most broken champion in the game. Talk to any ADC, they will tell you this. Talk to any mid laner, they will tell you this. Any top laner. It is the Monkey King. You might ask, Hybrid's why? His early game isn't that strong. You're right. Wukong's early game isn't that strong. But once he gets 6, this champion is so broken, they need to nerf it, man. It's going to dominate pro play and solo queue. You're going to see his win rate's going to be, I'm going to make a prediction right now, 52 to 53% in solo queue. In pro play, it's going to be over 55. If you can play smart, this champion is untouchable. Okay? It is like, what is good into this champ? AP champions. But look at where the AP champions are. Like, no, they're not really that high. Okay, Karthus, Zyra. Zyra's not good into Wukong. Karthus is. Sure. Lillia, it was the best one into him. Sucks now. Talia, not the best. Brand, terrible. That is why he's going to dominate, bro. He is so strong. Like, look at all these champions. They're all 80 champions, right? In Z tier. He smokes all of these. He destroys Viego. Like, he's just such a good champ. Pantheon, I'm just going to move him on C tier. He has good early ganks, but he's useless outside of it. Just to finish it off, Nefiri, D tier, Shen, D tier, useless champions. Okay, it's been 41 minutes. My voice is gone. Appreciate you all for watching. If you haven't watched the patch rundown, give it a watch. I'm going to have a whole heap of good content coming out for this season. I'm going to have a Palving video. That's going to be a great watch. I'm going to have a Bel'Veth video. That's going to be a Bel'Veth summary. I'm going to have a Volibear video as well, which is a Volibear summary. And I'll have a Viego video, a Viego guide coming out end of this month, or it'll be a Viego guide or a Wukong guide. Stay tuned for that. Appreciate you all for watching, and peace. My voice is gone. We're out of here.